Hello and welcome to Channel's Book Club. I am Olakunle Kasumo. The subject of incest is one people hardly want to talk about, perhaps for obvious reasons. Fortunately, some writers are not afraid to tackle it head on. One person like that is Jonathan Ayer, who is a medical doctor and author of both fiction and non-fiction works. Jonathan has written this novel titled Below the Belt, which has incest as its central theme. He joined us to talk about his life as a writer and his book, Below the Belt. Jonathan, nice to have you on Channel's Book Club.
Thank you very much.
Nice to have you.
Thank you.
Thanks for coming. Now, you have a very interesting story. You're a doctor, a medical doctor, and then you're also a writer. Even your writing is interesting. You've written science-related things, and you've also written a novel. So I would like to hear a bit more about that story of yours.
Well, I take it way back when I was in the secondary school. Usually in the elementary part of your secondary school level, you take all courses along with your sciences and arts. And I found myself being good in both of them. In fact, I was at a dilemma on whether to choose sciences or arts when we were asked to choose to, prepare for our WAEC. But eventually, because I wanted to become a doctor, I'd always nursed the idea of becoming a doctor. I chose sciences. But it didn't stop me from following those
love for the arts continued.
To continue doing whatever they were doing. In fact, at a point, I was writing scripts, which we were, which we used to act certain plays in the secondary schools. And then when I finished, of course, as a doctor, I needed to do one or two things that will help the public in my own angle. And that was why I wrote books in sciences. The first one that I wrote was, I titled The Sexually Transmitted Infections way back in 2006, 2 years after. I also found out that there are certain, basic things which children in the primary school need to know. And then I wrote a book for them, which I titled, Primary Health for the Primary. And in the course of my practice as a doctor, there were so many stories and then so many events that I met along the way, that I could not keep within me. I needed to make the public, have a grip of what is happening. And having come from the background of, writing, it wasn't a big deal for me to put it together in order to, make it something that the public will know about.
So you're one of those people caught in between professions.
Yeah.
Your passion, your profession, your passion. And I hear that's a whole lot. And the good thing really is that no matter the profession somebody has, you can always be a writer.
Yeah.
If you hone that skill, I mean, if you sharpen your writing skills, whatever you're doing, you can still be a writer. That's a good thing there. But now you eventually ended up writing a novel that is about incest. And incest seems to be a very common thing in this part of the world, but not spoken about so much. Why did you pick that as a subject for your novel?
Well, like I mentioned earlier, in a place I worked at the early part of my practice happened to be a motherless babies and single mothers home. And over there, you hear a lot of stories. The teenage, pregnant women who are there. In fact, the place I worked, as a doctor, catered for about 50 to 100 teenage pregnant women.
50 to 100?
And I hear stories from them. Incest was a very common thing. Part of how they got into such a mess was, an inspiration for me to let the world know, the parents, some other daughters who are not aware of what is happening, to also, know that things like this are happening and it is not going to be to the best of their interests if they get into such a problem. So the stories I got while in practice inspired me to put it down so that, a lot of people who, have not been in the know about all this can...
But people hardly talk about. I mean, maybe that's understandable. It's not something anybody really wants to talk about.
Yeah, because as a doctor,
how
there's a way
sensitive it
you
is.
prime your patients. If you want the patient always tells the doctor the truth because we work with the truth.
Yeah.
So it wasn't a big deal for me, extracting the truth from those young teenage pregnant ladies. Yeah. They always told me the truth. The particular one in this novel was perpetrated by a senior brother to this lady that got pregnant.
So it's based on a true story.
Yeah, it's a true story.
But how do you then? I mean, your professional ethics doesn't allow you to say some of these things.
Correct.
I mean,
correct.
Confidentiality. And
yes,
all that.
that is the area where you may bring in fiction into it, because it is wrong for me to mention the name of the patient, mention where it happened, or try to paint a picture that will make anybody understand what has happened.
Okay, so in this novel are fictional characters, fictional scenarios.
Exactly. That's where fiction
all
comes
based
into it.
on a real life experience.
Yeah.
Okay, I think that's fine. I will suppose ethically.
Yeah.
So give us a peep into this story, Below the Belt, this novel, Below the Belt. And I guess that will also give us an idea into what is really happening out there.
Yeah, Below the Belt is a story about a young girl of 9 years who aspired to, obtain a formal education, but had several challenges along the way. One of those challenges was the traditional hatred in her area for, taking ladies to school. But that challenge was overcome partially because some affluents in that community resisted that tradition and were sending their people to school. But Choma's parents, we are very poor, that sending her to school was a problem, but they tried to manage. And while they were trying